What the heck is going on, guys? Welcome to your 14th biology tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to talk to you guys about something called lipids. Now, you may be familiar with lipids because they are actually the fat in your body. So hopefully you aren't too familiar with them, but that's what they are, and I'll tell you guys how molecules become fat in your body in a second, because hopefully you can burn the energy before it gets to that state. But before, I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about lipids. So lipids are basically large molecules relative to, every other molecule in your body. However, they have a lot of energy inside them. So that can be a good thing and a bad thing because, if you ever are, starving and you aren't around a source of food, then your body can start to burn that fat and use that energy. However, it can be a bad thing because, if you're just, sitting at home eating a bunch of double cheeseburgers from McDonald's, then those lipids build up in your body and you never end up using that energy. You just, become fat basically. And that's actually why they can pack so many calories into a double cheeseburger. So let me go ahead and draw a picture of a delicious double cheeseburger right here. So you may be thinking, and this is what some people think sometimes, that, oh my god, I ate one double cheeseburger and there are 2,000 calories in that. And I'm like, dude, that's not a bad thing. How many grapes would you have to eat to get 2,000 calories? 2,000 calories worth of energy in your body. So, again, like I said, lipids, large molecules, but they can pack a bunch of energy into a small space. That's why a double cheeseburger can have so many calories and it can still be, not that big relative to fruit or something like that. But enough about just eating cheeseburgers and fats and stuff. Let's go ahead and learn something scientific. So, lipids, might as well go. Lipids are what we call hydrophobic. And if you take apart this, hydro means water, and phobic, if you have a phobia of something, it means you're afraid of it. So it basically means that lipids don't like water, or they don't mix good with water. And oil is actually a liquid lipid, and a solid one would be something like butter. And that's why if you ever have like a vegetable oil or if you see an oil spill on TV, it doesn't mix in with the water. It either sits on top of it, or if you have butter and you try to, I don't know, mix it with oil, or if you ever pour vegetable oil in water, like maybe you're making cookies or something, they aren't going to mix together like if you're making, I don't know, like sugar and water or something. And that's because lipids are fats that are hydrophobic, doesn't get along well with water. Now, scientifically, again, I'm obviously hungry if I'm talking about cheeseburgers and cookies and stuff, but let's go ahead and talk about three types of lipids. And three different types of lipids. I'm going to go ahead and start with phospholipids. Now, phospholipids, when I say three major types of lipids, I mean the three types of lipids or how they're used in your bodies. So, phospholipids are actually a type of lipid that are used in the cell membrane. Now, I know we didn't talk about the cell yet, but the membrane, just think of it like the skin of the cell, the outer covering of the cell. So phospholipids are a type of useful lipids, a lot more useful than the fat on your body, and they're used on the skin of the cell. Now, another type of lipids is steroids. Yes, believe it or not, I'm not making this up. Steroids are a type of lipid. Now, steroids, you may be familiar with them, may not be, but they're actually used to create hormones, and that's why if you've seen a bodybuilder or something taking steroids, it's because they want a lot of testosterone, or in a female, they create a lot of estrogen and actually cholesterol is actually a steroid molecule. And believe it or not, steroids, or excuse me, oh, I have to swallow. Steroids are actually found in the membrane of a cell too, just not as many as phospholipids because pretty much the whole thing is phospholipids, but then you have a few things scattered in. But we'll talk about that more when we talk about the parts of the cell. And again, the reason that they're in your body is because, just like many things in your body, it's useful. But just like anything else, too much can be a bad thing, and that's why if you have too much cholesterol in your body, then it can go ahead and get clogged in your bloodstream, and all that cholesterol gets clogged up. And whenever this happens, you of course have a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. So, pretty much everything in biology, every food you eat, every drug that you take can be good if used in the right kind of ways. But just like, anything else, too much is a bad thing. Cholesterol is no exception. But I'm done giving life advice. Let's go ahead and move on to something a little more educational. The last type of lipid that I want to talk to you guys about, and that's triglyceride. Definitely the most complicated one to see. So, I guess I might as well say this. Your liver tries to store all the glucose, and remember that, the thing that cells use for energy, it tries to store it as glycogen. So remember we said that the cells in your body use as much glucose as they can, and what they don't use they store in glycogen. There's nothing wrong with that because that way you don't have to eat all the time. Pretty cool. But whatever is left over, and whenever they can't store any more glycogen, they create something called triglycerides. Now, triglycerides are not very good because those are pretty much the fat that. Here's what happens. Your body tries to use the glucose and then it stores it as glycogen, and whenever it can't, it makes triglycerides. And triglycerides go through your bloodstream. Here's a little bloodstream. That's a pretty good looking bloodstream. And then they're deposited into your adipose tissue. Now, your adipose tissue is basically the fat that you see on your body. So basically, whenever your body can't use glucose, it stores it in glycogen. When your body's done making glycogen, it makes triglycerides, which are the fat that travels through your bloodstream into a special tissue on your body. So that way, the more tissue you have, the fatter you are. And that's kind of why you can't eat too much, because if you eat too much, your body doesn't need all the energy, and that's how it stores it in something, a lipid that becomes fat. So remember, phospholipids, very useful, especially when making your cell membranes. Steroids, pretty useful, but if you have too much cholesterol, they can cause heart attacks and strokes. Triglycerides, you really don't want any of those unless you're going to, be surviving in the wilderness for a long amount of time, because those are the things that make you more or less fat. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And, well, that's why you lose fat whenever you work out, because first you burn all the glucose in your body, and then your body tries to convert the glycogen to glucose, and then when it's done burning that, it converts these triglycerides to glucose, and then it uses that for energy. So again, it's good to have, but too much, you're going to be fat. So there is my very, very messy tutorial on lipids. Next time I promise I'll use more slides, but hopefully you guys understand the three types of lipids. Phospholipids, going to talk about those later, steroids, and the almighty harmful triglycerides. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.